And the big breaking news coming in when it comes to the entire tussle between those who want Ganesh Chaturthi at the Eidgah Maidan in Hubballi. Now the High Court has given the clearance for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations in Hubballi. That's the big piece of news coming in. Now, after the status quo order of the Supreme Court that denied Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations in Bengaluru, but in Hubballi, what's happened is that the Karnataka High Court has given the go-ahead for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations, which are set to take place tomorrow in Hubballi. So Hubballi gets the go-ahead for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations. I'm joined by my colleague Ananya, who's been tracking all the developments from the Supreme Court to the High Court very closely. Ananya, over to you.
Well, yes, Ayushman, as we've seen, the High Court order of clearly and clearly a go-ahead has been given, and the High Court has said that it can't interfere with the orders that have been passed by the Karnataka government, clearly allowing for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations, because remember, in this case particularly,
right, we'll try to reconnect with Ananya, but that's the big piece of news coming in, that the Karnataka High Court has given the go-ahead for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations in Hubballi. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, it came down to the Supreme Court, which passed that status quo order, which has now denied Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations in Bengaluru. That was the plea coming in from the Muslim side, which had claimed that the entire pitch to allow Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations in Bengaluru was a bit to change the religious character of the Eidgah grounds. But what we are getting now from the Karnataka High Court, which had earlier given permission to the Hubballi administration to decide whether Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations can be held at the Eidgah ground in Hubballi, now the Karnataka High Court has stuck to its guns. Despite the Supreme Court status quo order, the Karnataka High Court has said that Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations can be held at the Eidgah ground in Hubballi. That's the big news coming in. Remember, these Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations were set to take place tomorrow. They have been cancelled in Bengaluru because of the Supreme Court status quo order, but in Hubballi, they will go ahead. Ananya is back with us on the line. Ananya, please complete what you were saying.
Well, yes, Ayushman, remember that this matter is a pretty different one with regards to the Bengaluru case, because remember, in Bengaluru case, there is a title dispute pending between the Waqf and the other stakeholders.
Right. We'll continue to have those issues with Ananya's line. We'll try to reconnect with him, but let's take you through the breaking news that has come in from the High Court, where it says that the Supreme Court order, when it came to the Bengaluru case, when it came to the Eidgah ground case in Bengaluru, that does not apply in Hubballi. Remember, the Karnataka High Court had given the go-ahead for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations in Hubballi. It had told the local administration in Hubballi that it is the onus is on them to hold Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations. And now, when the Muslim side moved the High Court again after the status quo order from the top court, now the Karnataka High Court sticking to its original order, saying that Ganesh Puja will be allowed at the Eidgah grounds. I'm also joined by my colleague Harish Upadhyay on this latest development that has come in from Karnataka after the setback to the Bommai government when it came to the Bengaluru case. Now some reprieve when it comes to the Hubballi case. Harish, over to you.
Well, the Karnataka High Court making this distinction, saying that these are two different cases. In case of Chamrajpet, there is still a dispute over the ownership. That's not the case with the Hubballi Eidgah Maidan. So interim relief can't be sought based on the earlier the Supreme Court's order earlier in the day that was passed around 6 p.m. And that can't be the reference point, is what the High Court has clearly said now, allowing its early order to continue, which is for the municipal commissioner of the Hubballi Dharwad Municipal Corporation to decide on the application seeking permission for Ganesh Chaturthi celebration. In a way, no stoppage from the High Court. It's now up to the Hubballi Dharwad Municipal Corporation to decide who are these applicants who get a chance to, for the first time, have Ganesh Chaturthi celebration at the Eidgah Maidan in Hubballi.
Also joined by Ananya. He's back with us on the line. Ananya, take us through what the High Court has ruled and take us through the arguments that has led to this development coming in from the High Court, which has given the go-ahead for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations at the Eidgah ground in Hubballi.
Well, yes, the arguments basically pertained by the AAG of the state, who basically argued that there is no title dispute arising into this particular matter. There's no question of the title being with somebody else, and hence it's a government land and it's being already used for parking and other purposes. So it's completely the government's. The whole information rests with the government, and it is the precedence of the government as to whether to allow something or not into this particular case. However, the petitioner continuously tried to oppose these statements, but then the High Court has now clearly come down saying that this is not a title dispute. Here, no title dispute remains, and hence the benefit of the Supreme Court order in the Bengaluru case cannot be claimed. Clearly giving out a go ahead for the Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations. All of it now in the hands of the commissioner, the joint commissioner, who would be deciding as to who would be allowed to hold these Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations in the Eidgah Maidan of Hubballi in Karnataka. So very, very clear order, different order coming in, though the petitioners had knocked the doors of the Karnataka High Court in a big hope that due to the SC order, and as we were discussing, Ayushman, earlier also, that we were also of a view that if a Supreme Court order is there, then there might be some kind of a order that would, but then since the fact of the matter are pretty different in nature, since there is a dispute arising into this particular case, hence the High Court is very, very clear in its observation. The benefit of the SC order cannot be obtained by these petitioners, and hence the order goes in the favor of the government. And clearly now, in fact, stoppage for the government to give out its go-ahead for these Ganesh Chaturthi celebration and allow the applicants to, in fact, hold the celebrations there on the Eidgah Maidan in Hubli of Karnataka. Ayushman.
Right. And Ananya, please take us through how this case is different from the Bengaluru case when it comes to the arguments.
Well, Ayushman, in the Bengaluru case particularly, there was a title dispute, there was an injunction order that was there earlier, and that was the basis of challenge before the single judge bench of the Karnataka High Court. Then it reached the division bench, which passed a certain order, and later on, in challenging that particular order of the division bench, the petitioners had not, the Karnataka Waqf Board, in fact, the petitioners in Supreme Court had knocked the doors of the top court asking to stay this order. The matter was first heard by a division bench of the court, of the Supreme Court. However, since no consensus could be reached into that particular matter, then the matter went before a three-judges bench of the top court, which clearly ordered for a status quo into the matter, clearly saying that all of the prayers in interim injunctions shall be decided down by the High Court in the Bengaluru matter. But in the Hubli matter, the case is a bit different. There is no title dispute. It is very, very clear who the land belongs to. It's the Karnataka government whose land it is, and it is already being used for various other purposes like parking vehicles and other purposes. So now, very, very clear order coming in from the single judge bench after a late night hearing. The hearing began at around 10, and the court clearly heard the matter till 10:45. So almost a 45-minute hearing took place. Both the petitioner and, in fact, the AAG of Karnataka, Mr. Chinnappa, was arguing this matter for 5 minutes, after which the High Court said that it would take some time to pass orders. And finally, now the orders are clearly out, saying that no stoppage from Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations at the Hubballi Eidgah Maidan, clearly because no title dispute remains, and hence the petitioner cannot claim, in fact, the interim orders that have by the Supreme Court, that cannot claim the benefit of this order, and hence the ball is in now the court of the government, and it would be deciding as to who would be allowed to hold these celebrations there.
Right. So that's the pitch coming in from the Karnataka High Court, which maintained that the Supreme Court order does not apply here because this is not a title suit. Harish is also with us on the phone line. So Harish, take us through the preparations that were underway already in Hubli, especially the security arrangement, which had had been put on hold for a while because everyone was awaiting what the courts will decide.
Well, as far as security is concerned, the Hubli Dharwad Municipal Corporation and the Hubli Dharwad Police did not want to take any chances. Since yesterday, they've had route marches carried out around the Eidgah Maidan and Hubli city. They've also deployed additional forces in the area to ensure that if indeed there is Ganesh Chaturthi celebration at the Eidgah Maidan, it could go smoothly and doesn't trigger any sort of a law and order issue. And that remained there. There was no change despite there being a little confusion on whether the High Court will allow, whether this will go to the Supreme Court. And finally, now that the High Court has allowed the celebration at the Eidgah Maidan in Hubballi. The police perhaps would relook at their deployment depending on the permissions that will be given by the by the Hubballi Dharwad Municipal Corporation. How many applicants will be given? Will there be just one murti that would be erected there, or would multiple applicants be given permission to have Ganesh Chaturthi celebration? These are details perhaps that will trickle down by morning.
Right. Thank you, Harish and Ananya, for getting us the latest details when it comes to the showdown over Ganesh Chaturthi in Karnataka. Now, after the Supreme Court order, which gave a status quo order when it came to the case in Bengaluru, the Karnataka High Court has said that the Supreme Court order does not apply to the case in Hubballi. And so the clearance has been given for Ganesh Chaturthi festivities in Hubballi, which will take place tomorrow. But as Harish was also pointing out, security is also being maintained in Hubballi given the charged nature of this entire case. We'll continue to track all the developments which are coming in. For now, a quick break.